It was Christmas Eve, and the wife of the man with the long hair had a simple but meaningful wish, a brush to comb her hair. She shared her wish with her husband, hoping for a gesture of affection in the midst of the magic of the season. However, her husband's response was a mixture of discouragement and a sincere explanation of his financial limitations as he was saving up to repair the broken watch, an object of sentimental value. Determined to fulfill his beloved's wish, the man made his way to work. In a moment of inspiration, he decided to make a bold decision, to sell his beloved watch so that he could give his wife the much-desired hairbrush. At the watch shop, he exchanged the timepiece for a fistful of cash, eager to make the smile on her lips shine. At the end of the day, with the hairbrush in hand, he returned home with the hope of bringing joy to his beloved's heart. However, when he opened the door, what unfolded before his eyes was a scene that defied comprehension. His wife, now with short hair, was holding a watch in her hands. The perplexity turned into a silence filled with contained emotions. He had sacrificed his beloved watch, and she in turn had cut her hair. In an instant of mutual understanding, tears began to flow, silent witnesses to a deep and unconditional love. At that moment, they both realized that they had stripped themselves of what they valued most in order to satisfy each other's desires. In the midst of shared tears, they spoke words of love that echoed in the room, resonating like a sincere melody. The exchange of sacrifices became the greatest proof of devotion they could offer each other. In the simplicity of that gesture, they discovered the essence of true love, the act of giving up something dear in order to bring joy to those we love. In Stoicism, there is a fallacy that it is a philosophy without feelings and cold, that in it there is no love or friendship. This is a lie. The Stoics valued people very highly, so much so that Marcus Aurelius made this very clear. During the Antonine Plague, he sold all his gold so that he could raise money to help his people deal with the epidemic. He said he wouldn't put his luxury first while people were having health problems. Marcus Aurelius says, "Tolerant of others, strict with yourself." He was aware of the fact that this was called self-discipline for a reason. You control yourself. You control the standards you set for yourself. But it's important to be tolerant and understanding of other people. The Stoics didn't think that philosophy meant withdrawing from the world or other people. On the contrary, they believed that life was about relationships. It was about other people. Many things that Marcus Aurelius mentions in his meditations are about frustrations with other people, but also about his love, affection, and connections with other people. This is at the heart of Stoic philosophy, dealing with the ups and downs of relationships with our fellow human beings. Now let's take a look at 8 Stoic lessons for building deep, true love relationships and friendships throughout your life. Number 1. Choose your relationships. Nothing is more inspiring than witnessing the people around you embodying the values you admire, as Marcus Aurelius points out. While heroes, monuments, and statues have their value, your friends also play a crucial role in this scenario. Who is part of your life? It's important to recognize that just as we draw inspiration from public figures, the people closest to us also have a significant impact on our journey. As Goethe said, the wise choice of people we keep in our lives directly shapes who we become. The friends and family we choose are like mirrors, reflecting and influencing our attitudes, behaviors, and values. By cultivating friendships based on respect, empathy, and integrity, we can create an environment that fosters personal growth and the search for virtues. Observing those around us demonstrating admirable qualities such as courage, kindness, and perseverance serves as a valuable guide for our own choices and actions. Number 2. Be tolerant of others. Marcus Aurelius reveals himself as someone who sets himself extremely high standards. On every page, we find a new rule, a standard that seems challenging and almost unattainable. However, Marcus's genius goes beyond these expectations, as historians tell us that his rigorous demands apply exclusively to himself. This conscious choice is reflected in his striking statement, tolerant of others, strict with himself. For Marcus Aurelius, self-discipline is linked to personal control, setting rigorous internal standards. It's fascinating to see how Marcus Aurelius recognizes the necessary duality between self-discipline and understanding others. He understood that self-discipline is called that for a reason. It is the ability to set personal limits and standards. However, he stressed the importance of tolerance and understanding when it comes to the actions and faults of others. In a specific section of the Meditations, He chides himself for not being more forgiving of the faults of others, indicating that the practice of self-discipline should not lead to ruthless rigidity, but rather to personal improvement and empathy for others. Number 3, caring about others. The Stoics believed deeply in the idea of sympathia, which expressed the notion of a collective we. Marcus Aurelius often discussed the concept of the common good. Despite being a Roman and occupying a leading position in the vast Roman Empire, he held the fundamental belief that all human beings were interconnected, forming a complex web of relationships. In a significant passage in Book 654, Marcus Aurelius illustrates this connection by saying, "What harms the hive harms the bee. What is bad for the hive is bad for the bee. What is bad for the bee is bad for the hive." This simple but powerful analogy highlights the idea that collective well-being is intrinsically linked to individual well-being, and vice versa. In a context where cruelty and indifference were commonplace, Marcus Aurelius emphasized the importance of caring about all human beings, even those we would never have the opportunity to meet in person. He argued that Stoicism did not make people insensitive, but instead encouraged them to cultivate a deeper sense of care and empathy for an ever-increasing number of people. This understanding of sympathia broadens our perspective, reminding us that ultimately we're all part of a great global community, sharing not only the same planet, but also mutual responsibilities towards a more compassionate and caring world. If you're enjoying the content, make sure you're already subscribed to the channel to receive more content like this. Number 4, take nothing for granted. There was a time many years ago when I received an email from a friend on a Friday afternoon or early evening. When I opened the message, I thought, there are a lot of things to sort out here, so I marked it as unread and said to myself, I'll read this on Monday. However, on Sunday, he passed away during a walk. This brings us to the heart of what the Stoics call the memento mori, a constant reminder of the finitude of life. They urge us to reflect on the fact that we can leave this life at any moment. A striking passage in Marcus Aurelius's Meditations deals with the idea of embracing your child at night and telling yourself that he may not arrive the next morning. What Marcus Aurelius wanted to convey with this reflection is the importance of recognizing the fragility of moments. By carrying out this mental exercise, it's not about disconnecting or distancing ourselves emotionally, but rather it's a way of connecting more deeply with the people around us. It reminds us not to take anything for granted, neither the people we love nor the places we go. Every interaction, every shared moment could be our last. This practice of thinking about impermanence doesn't seek to create emotional detachment, but rather a deeper appreciation of what really matters. By reminding ourselves of the transience of life, we are encouraged to value each present moment, express gratitude, and strengthen the bonds with those we love. In this way, meditating on the possibility of loss is not a gloomy exercise, but rather a way of celebrating and fully enjoying life in the now. To this end, I've put together a step-by-step guide for the Stoics in a powerful ebook for you. It will show you how to master your emotions and live fully in this world full of chaos and relationship problems. Click on the link in the first comment and get it now. Number 5. Remember that we are connected. Marcus Aurelius invites us to reflect frequently on the connectedness of everything in the world. He suggests that, for example, when observing the stars at night, we imagine ourselves running alongside them, inserting ourselves into the vastness of the cosmos. This practice not only leads us to appreciate the grandeur of the universe, but also makes us realize that we are part of something much bigger. When I contemplate a sunset, watch people, or admire an enchanting landscape, I try to think of humanity as an immense whole. I try to reflect on the different generations that have already lived and those that are yet to come. This broad perspective leads me to recognize that we are all connected in some way. We are like cells in a giant organism, each playing a unique role, but all sharing an intrinsic bond. Number 6. Avoid false friendships. In part 1 of the Meditations, Marcus Aurelius shares a valuable piece of wisdom he acquired throughout his life. Flee false friendships at all costs. Nothing is more painful, nothing is worse. This insight was shaped by his own experiences, especially the painful betrayal he suffered at the hands of Avidius Cassius, his most trusted general and one of his best friends. Avidius Cassius, in an act of betrayal, tried to orchestrate a coup by declaring himself emperor. The story of Marcus Aurelius serves as a reminder that while the emperor wanted to believe the best in people and trust them completely, he also understood the need to recognize human imperfection. People, even those closest to him, can stray from the path and in some cases act with bad intentions. This crucial lesson highlights the importance of cultivating relationships based on mutual trust, but also indicates the need for discernment and caution. Being prepared to face these situations, cultivating emotional resilience, and the ability to learn from experiences is fundamental to maintaining healthy and sustainable relationships over time. Number 7. Prepare yourself. Marcus Aurelius, at the beginning of his Meditations, reminds us of the diversity of personalities we will encounter on a daily basis: envious, stupid, dishonest, cruel, and evil people. He highlights this reality not to discourage us, but as a call for preparation and reflection. Stoicism suggests that if we are surprised by the people and events of the day, the responsibility falls on us. A lack of preparation and meditation on our part reveals a certain naivety. The Stoic approach proposes anticipating challenges, maintaining a realistic perspective and constant vigilance. By doing so, we are better equipped to face the complexities of daily life. This doesn't just mean protecting yourself from disappointment, but also being open to the possibility of positive surprises. After all, by understanding that people can exceed our expectations, we can cultivate a more balanced view of the world around us. Number 8. You can't tell people what to do. One of the things you learn when running a company is that although you're in charge, you're not really in charge. You can't make anyone do anything. As part of Stoic's daily leadership challenge, we interviewed all these experts, generals, trainers, people who apparently had real power over other people. And I asked, can you make people do things? And they replied, no, you can't make people do anything. That's not how life works. That's a great quote from Eisenhower. He said, leadership is the art of getting people to do things because they think they want to do them. You don't force anyone to do anything. So the Stoic dichotomy of control is ultimately a fundamental lesson when running a company. You control you. You do. You control the rules you set. Of course, you control the principles. You control the culture. But ultimately, you don't force anyone to do anything. You can try to lead by example. You can lead a horse to water. Force won't work. Requests don't really work. At the end of the day, you can't force anyone to do anything. You can try to persuade them. You can try to create a culture, a momentum. But if people don't want to take part in the program, if they're not on the same wavelength as you, it's not about forcing them. It's not about offering incentives. It's about saying, hey, you're not a good fit here. Let's find someone who does. You should leave and do something that's good for you, where you want to do the tasks that the company needs you to do. So I think at the end of the day is that ultimately you can't tell people what to do. That's a fantasy. It's an illusion. It's a chimera. You can try to persuade them, but ultimately all we control, according to the Stoics, are our own actions, our own decisions, our own emotions. And by the way, that's enough to keep you busy. If you want to understand how this purpose impacted the Stoics, they had an idea of how to create a great person with important advice. Click on the video on the screen and watch it now.